My name is Lode Debrabandere. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Amynas. At Amynas, what we try to do is we improve patient outcomes after medical device implantations. So what is there to improve? Picture tells 1,000 words. You can see what can go wrong when you implant a medical device. You have encapsulation, you have device erosion, you have migration, you have infections, biofilm formations. Especially the infections and biofilm formation are serious and costly complications. In about 6% of cases have one or more of these complications. Infections, or like I said, are costly and are difficult to treat. You have to get readmitted to the hospital. You got to get, lengthy treatments with antibiotics. Sometimes you get the resistance against those antibiotics, so you got to get another treatment course. You get revision, surgeries involved. And it's life-threatening. 1 out of 5 patients that comes into the hospital with a hospital-acquired infection will die in 12 months. So, there's something that needs to be done about these complications. The market that we are focusing right now with Amynas is especially cardiovascular devices, pacemakers, defibrillators, as well as neurostimulatory devices. And later on, we'll go into breast implants, pain modulators, etc. The leader in the market today is Medtronic. They have a implantable antibiotic-coated envelope, which is called Tyrex. And today, in the United States, about 1 out of 2 of Medtronic's pacemakers is wrapped into such an envelope. This envelope has demonstrated to be anti-infective and reduce hospital readmissions. About 300,000 of these envelopes are currently being implanted, bundled together with pacemakers. It's about $1,000 per envelope, so about a $300 million revenue. Interestingly enough, Medtronic is the only one that has an envelope. It's not the only manufacturer. You have, Abbott, you have Boston, you have Biotronic, and a couple of other smaller players. None of them has access to such an envelope, so there's definitely an unmet need there. Tyrex is about 7 years on the market. Pretty old technology. What we bring to the table is a brand new technology. It's called nanofiber electrospinning. And nanofiber electrospinning is perfectly suited to address this unmet need. And why is that? For 2 reasons. The first reason is that nanofiber electrospinning is a technology that allows you to mimic what we call healthy microarchitecture structure of healthy ECM. ECM is our own kind of tissue structure. It's our own kind of scaffold that our endogenous stem cells use to adhere to proliferate, to differentiate, to regenerate new tissue. So we mimic that by having the same porosity, same nanometer range fibers, same density, same thickness, etc. So when you slide a pacemaker into such an envelope, what you basically do is you fool the body, and the body does not recognize this pacemaker as foreign. So you get a lot less scar tissue formation, a lot less encapsulation. The second reason why this technology is particularly interesting is, these fibers, because of their nanometer range, have a huge surface to volume area. There's millions of fibers. They have a capacity to incorporate drugs, in this case antimicrobials. So we can actually incorporate drugs into these biodegradable fibers, and we can tweak the speed of biodegradability to whatever purpose, whatever desired kinetics release we aim for. So that are the 2 main reasons why this technology is so well suited for developing these anti-infective, pro-regenerative envelopes. What does a competitive landscape look like? It's pretty straightforward. Like I mentioned, there's only 1 player right now. It's Tyrex. 3 others are in development. Amynas is the only one that, besides pro-regenerative capabilities, which Tyrex does not have, also has the ability to, with optimal kinetics, to drop basically antibiotics into that particular microenvironment post-surgery. We have a technology as the only one that also tackles the biofilm formation around the pacemakers. I'll talk about that in a minute. So how are we doing this? We create these electrospun nanofiber envelopes, these constructs, in multiple layers. And so 1 layer is the core layer, is this pro-regenerative layer, which biodegrades in 14 to 16 weeks, which is perfectly synced. Rate of biodegradability is perfectly synced with rate of tissue ingrowth. So you create a healthy tissue around the pacemaker. We have also a second layer on top of that core layer that is different in terms of its composition, different in terms of its kind of fiber density, fiber diameters, that is tweaked to have optimal kinetics for the drug release. You know, in this particular case, you want to have all your antibiotics dumped into that microenvironment in 7 days. You don't want to have a tail end, and you want to have a potent efficacy from 30 minutes after surgery. And lastly, you know, we licensed in technology from our academic partner that has been worked for the last 15 years on identifying a family of compounds, and it's a 2-aminoimidazole structure that have been designed to inhibit the gene of bacteria and their capability to make those biofilms. So the inhibition of that particular gene inhibits the bacteria to manufacture, to produce polysaccharides, which are the core ingredients of their slime layer biofilm. And so we inhibit that. Due to this unique mechanism of action, we have also already demonstrated that these bacteria cannot develop resistance against this type of treatment. So that's a huge paradigm shift where, you know, we not only can kill the bacteria, but also we can prevent them from developing a biofilm, which, you know, long-term can become really dangerous. So where are we right now? I think it's going to be very interesting next 18 to 24 months for Amynas. What we have accomplished to date is we've finished the prototyping. We have de-risked from a safety perspective the polymers that we use in our electrospun constructs. We have also de-risked the efficacy component. We have in vivo animal studies that were mandated by the FDA. We have executed those and have you know, equivalents to Tyrex, which is what we aim for. We actually have some differentiations against Tyrex, including better release kinetics, including being pro-regenerative and creating healthy tissue around the pacemaker, which Tyrex cannot do. We have started to collaborate with NAMSA to execute the final regulatory experiments. This market is particularly interesting and is favorable because you have this 800-pound gorilla that has really, you know, set the stage and created this infection protection program that has identified that if you wrap your medical devices into an antibiotic containing releasing envelope, you actually reduce hospital readmissions for hospital-acquired infections. And you know, as a consequence of that, the awareness of the need to wrap your medical devices into these types of envelopes has increased dramatically. Moreover, Tyrex is actually also included now in the treatment guidelines of certain heart and rhythm associations. So it is becoming a kind of must-do more and more, and a lot of physicians are now using these anti-infective envelopes to wrap in their medical devices. For us, as we now are done with the engineering and the research on the device that we will use to wrap in pacemakers, it's relatively easy to move into neurostimulatory devices, into other implants as well. The engineering is done. We basically have optimized the composition of it, the polymer selections, et cetera, et cetera. So this allows us now to use all of that work to expand into other indications. And lastly, I think the market needs a solution for this resistance development. Once you get back into the hospital, you know, so many patients develop resistance, and NIH predicts that in the next 25 years, people will die more from resistant bugs than from cancer. So it is an increasing nuclear bomb that needs to be addressed, and we have a non-resistance anti-biofilm set of molecules that really are going to become paradigm shifting in that perspective. Near-term milestones, like I said, next 18 months, we plan to submit our 510K to the FDA with an antibiotic releasing envelope specifically for CIEDs. Shortly thereafter, we'll expand into neurostimulatory devices, and we are further advancing our pipeline and further getting further evidence of these anti-biofilm capabilities that we will also include into the fibers of our constructs, such that we have longer-term protection on biofilm formation. So the company is looking for $5 million right now. We have raised today $3 million. We're looking at an additional $5 million that will allow us to get all the way to FDA approval and beyond. as well as advancing our pipeline. The team, both sides of the pond, we have engineering manufacturing in the United States, we have microbiology in Belgium. I co-founded the company with Dr. Verheijen, who is an interventional cardiologist in Belgium, who has helped us a lot with the design and the specific aspects of the target product profile of our envelope. And we have a team of capable engineers and microbiologists. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.